Here, Ron Paul's going to explain to this man how he doesn't understand his military versus defense spending, and how is it that military spending is different than defense spending. You'll see. It's great.
Congressman Paul, South Carolina has 7 major military bases and thousands of people employed in the defense industry. But you want to make major cuts in defense spending, several $100 billion in the coming years, that inevitably would cost South Carolina jobs. What do you say to people in this state who worry that your military plans would hurt the national security and cost South Carolina jobs?
I would say your question suggests you're very confused about my position. I want to cut money, overseas money. That's what I want to do. I want to cut military money. I don't want to cut defense money. I want to bring the troops home. I'd probably have more bases here at home. We were closing them down in the 1990s and building them overseas. That's how we got into trouble. So we would save a lot more money and have a stronger national defense, and that's what we should do. But to say that we would be weaker is absolutely wrong, because and another important thing you should consider is the fact that the military is behind me more than the others. I get twice as much money from the active military duties than all the other candidates put together. So they're saying that I'm on the right track. They're sick and tired of those wars. They're sick and tired of the nation building and the policing activity. But to say that we would have less money for defense, we actually have more money. And if I may, I'd like to go back to the international financial thing.
Congressman, just to be clear, your plan calls for freezing defense spending at 2006 levels, which is well below where we are today.
You still don't understand.
What's he missing, Congressman?
You don't understand there's a difference between military spending and defense spending. Just because you spend $1 billion on an embassy in Baghdad, bigger than the Vatican, you consider that defense spending. I consider that waste. So now, if you want to, a little while ago we were talking about, funding the unemployed. Of course, that should be privatized, and I don't support it. But I don't support cutting that off like that. I'd cut some of this military spending, like Eisenhower advised us. Watch out for the military-industrial complex. Defend this country. We have to have a strong national defense, but we don't get strength by diluting ourselves in 900 bases, 130 countries. That is where the problem is. But you need to understand that there's a difference between just military spending and defense spending, just to spend money. We understand this domestically. If you spend more money domestically, we know it's wrong, but we're supposed to spend more money, and that's conservative. I've never quite understood this. We're supposed to be conservative, spend less money.
I'd like to ask a question about keeping money.
Yeah, isn't that funny that Ron Paul gets more support from the active duty troops? And one point I want to make on that is they're seeing the injustice firsthand, and I've heard this from the troops, from troops themselves, saying that what we're doing over there, why are we doing it? Why are we there? Why are we doing this? We don't need to do this. They feel the immorality of it. They feel the injustice. And as Americans, they feel what they're doing is wrong. And they can't stomach it. The rate of suicide from veterans right now is higher than it's ever been. And that's ridiculous. And that's why people are in the service are supporting Ron Paul, because he's the only one that's saying we need to quit this, we need to stop. So if anybody out there that's watching or listening, if you have a kid or a daughter or son in the service, please ask them how they feel about it. Please ask them what they think about what they're doing. It's important. because perhaps morality does matter. Perhaps morality comes into play in their everyday lives, and perhaps the things you've taught them as a parent has come into play in their service to this country. Perhaps it's come into play to the point where they go, this isn't what I was taught. I'm not supposed to kill these people. I'm not supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to, I don't even know these people. They don't even know me. There's nothing to it. I don't know. The point is, ask. Find out. What Ron says seems to allude to we shouldn't be doing this. And the fact that active duty troops donate so much to him should be enough to go, wait a minute. Maybe the troops know more about being over there and why we're fighting better than someone who is here sitting on their goddamn couch. Or as Tom Waits would say, how is it that the sorry fuckers that got us into this mess had their sorry asses stapled to a goddamn desk? Perhaps those folks don't understand the problem as in the magnitude the people that they send over there to fight an old man's war. Perhaps they don't understand it quite as well. So please, talk to your children. Please, if you have somebody in the service, talk to them. See how they feel about what they're doing. Anytime that I have the chance, I ask a serviceman, and they're not comfortable with it. They are not, which worries me even more. They're not comfortable saying, oh yeah, the things that I've seen there, you don't want to know. Most of them don't even mention. They say, I don't want to talk about it. And to me, that bothers me, because if you don't want to talk about it, that tells me that it's morally wrong. Maybe. Obviously, if it's morally right and you still killed someone, you might be uncomfortable. But the majority seems to not want to talk about it at all. Therefore, it leads me to believe, geez, maybe this is completely morally wrong. Anywho, those are my thoughts.